of being pinned between police vehicles.
Police have yet to give out any more details about the original carjacking of the mail truck in Salt Lake City. Iron County Jail is the first in Utah to adopt a new inmate education program. It's called Ignite, which stands for Inmate Growth Naturally and Intentionally Through Education. It's a mouthful, so Ignite. The program will help inmates acquire useful skills and prepare them for employment after time in jail. KSL News Time 6:01. Our top national story this hour. Well wishes have been pouring in for the royal family after Buckingham Palace announced King Charles has cancer.
The shocking announcement from Buckingham Palace. King Charles diagnosed with cancer, not detailing the specific type or stage of the disease, only that it is not prostate cancer. Royal sources say the king called his siblings and children to personally tell them the news. Prince Harry expected to fly to London to visit his father in the coming days.
That's ABC's Maggie Ruley reporting. Coming up, more rain. The full weather forecast on the way next. Stay with us. KSL News Time, 6:02.
Dave and Dujanovic here. You hear us every weekday on KSL from 9 to noon.
But have you listened to our podcast?
We're running a secret contest just for podcast listeners.
You could win a new pair of AirPod Pros every week in February just for listening.
Here's how you do it. Find our show on kslpodcast.com
or wherever you listen to podcasts and listen for the keywords.
When you hear one, text it to 57500 and you'll be in to win.
That's it. We'll see you on our podcast, Dave and Dujanovic, with KSL News Radio.
I've had so many experiences, Debbie, working on my house. When I need some help, someone comes out, they give me a bid, and then when I actually get the invoice after the work is done, it's like the bid never happened.
That won't happen with Master Electrical. Master Electrical has their upfront pricing guarantee. They show up, they look at the job that you need done around the house, they give you a bid, and that is the price you pay at the end of the job.
They do everything. Anything that has to do with your electrical work, lights, ceiling fans, smoke detectors. I just learned that you're supposed to replace your smoke detector every 10 years. That's brand new knowledge.
Give Master Electrical a call. They are proudly serving from Logan to Santa Quin, and they're always open, including for emergency services.
Yeah, give them a call, 801-543-2222. That's 801-543-2222.
Or check them out online at masterelectrical.com.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
Made to Shine. Love stories from Shane Company customers.
My girlfriend and I survived a long-distance relationship, and now she's back. So this Valentine's Day, I'm gonna propose. I was overwhelmed when it came to the ring, but when I walked into Shane Company, they took the time to show me tons of different rings. They helped me create a one-of-a-kind engagement ring that's so her.
Our jewelry consultants don't work on commission, so you'll never feel pressured. They'll educate you about the 4 C's and help you bring your vision to life. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
Spend time with KSL News Radio and get a deeper understanding of the world around us.
I do listen to KSL so much because you've got voices like Boyd Matheson.
I listen to him every day.
You can trust him.
Inside Sources, weekdays 1 to 3.
On KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
Lingering delays on I-15 for northbounders. It goes from about Warm Springs Road through Woods Cross. Southbound I-15 in Salt Lake County still seeing heavy delays. Murray to the point of the mountain. I-15 in Utah County. This could be north or southbound between American Fork and Linden. Also, rain turning to snow in the higher elevations of Parley's Canyon. Slowing speeds a bit in the upper portion of the canyon, and we still have the final cleanup of the accident on Highway 189 coming out of Provo Canyon by Deer Creek Reservoir. Is the IRS harassing you? Are tax problems ruining your life? Let Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox help. Visit taxhelput.com. That's taxhelput.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL weather forecast. Pretty simple. Rain for the next 4 days. When we get to Friday, we're looking at 1 to 3 inches of snow. Right now, raining. We have a brisk breeze. It's 43 degrees. I'm Jeff Kaplan, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. Hello, Cougar Nation.
Who's open for three? Angle left takes it and makes it. Fousseyni Traore. And listen to the Cougar Nation.
Every Monday night, we break down the last week of BYU basketball and look ahead to the Cougars' prospects for the postseason. Cougar Nation. Here's BYU insider Mitch Harper and Matt Baiamonte on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio.
Good evening, Cougar Nation. Welcome on in to another edition, inside look of BYU basketball here on Cougar Nation. It's your show. You got to call in 801-575-8255, giving you the weekly check-in on all things Cougar hoops. I'm Mitch Harper, as you heard on the promo, BYU insider for KSL Sports. Joined as always by my co-host on Cougar Sports Saturday and here, Matt Baiamonte, who's on remote right now. Matt, good times right now for this BYU basketball team.
Great times, Mitch. That was a sensational win against West Virginia, which we'll be breaking down over the course of this next hour as we take your calls. And then we'll, of course, look ahead to Oklahoma a little bit. 4-4 in Big 12 play, Mitch. They're in a really good position heading into the month of February.
So much to like about this BYU basketball team, and it begs the question, who has been BYU's best player through the first half of Big 12 play? Weigh in on that, Cougar Nation, 801-575-8255, or you can share your thoughts on anything with this BYU basketball team. But right now, let's get to the takeaways.
Cougar Nation takeaways. Mitch and Matt analyze BYU's last week of play and what it means for the next week.
Cougs take down West Virginia on Saturday, 86-73. Matt, this was a game that going in, it felt like a dicey proposition because Ali Khalifa, he was out due to the flu. Didn't even make the trip to Morgantown, and West Virginia was a healthy group, feeling confident, perfect record at home in Morgantown. I mean, West Virginia defeated Kansas in Morgantown, yet BYU comes away with a double-digit victory and wins decisively.
It was an outstanding win, Mitch. And you look at West Virginia's stats, they got good games from their best players. Carissa, 23 points. Jesse Edwards, 16 and 7. Battle, 14 points as well. But everyone else did not contribute, and that's where I think this BYU defense has done such a great job in Big 12 play. Is they're very rarely letting the bench guys, the rotation players, beat you. And then, of course, it helps a lot, Mitch, when BYU, who's finally getting Fousseyni Traore back and healthy, he puts up what maybe his best game he's ever played, right, Mitch?
He was outstanding. Fousseyni is playing at a high level right now for BYU, and that's where takeaway number one. It was an important victory with a shorthanded roster to get that production from Fousseyni, 1 point shy of a career high. He finishes with 24 points, 9 rebounds. West Virginia interim coach Josh Eilert, he acknowledged that without Ali Khalifa, it changed things for BYU.
Credit to BYU and Coach Pope and their approach to the game today. You know, I think without Khalifa, I think they did some different things against us that we probably weren't ready for, but credit to them and their approach to the game today.
On a less discussed note, BYU also was without Townsend Triple, who wasn't there too. He's another walk-on big man. So again, it was a shorthanded team, and Noah Waterman, he was dealing with a sickness, and yet to find a way on a cross-country trip to come away with a 13-point win, BYU team's playing outstanding, and I think it ties into takeaway number 2. Dallin Hall, he was brilliant against West Virginia. Matt, he goes for 12 assists, a career high, and only 1 turnover. Any thought and maybe negativity surrounding Dallin Hall from the fan base? That can go by the wayside right now because he's playing at a high level.
He's playing some of the best basketball of his young career. In his last 3 games, Mitch, he's had 21 assists to 3 turnovers. And BYU's 9-2 on the season when he has 5 or more assists in a game. The way that he is getting his teammates involved, he's running the offense. I think it all started a few games back if I remember correctly, in that Texas Tech game, it didn't look like he wanted to score. Even though he was driving to the rim, he was always looking to kick, and it was causing turnovers. Since then, I feel like he's been more aggressive with his shot, and he's been attacking the rim at such a high level, and that's opened up his ability to pass the basketball. He's becoming a really, really good point guard. And look, great BYU teams, Mitch. They've had great point guard play. Danny Ainge, Jimmer Fredette, Kyle Collinsworth. Dallin Hall is playing at that level. Can he sustain it? That's the big question, but he's playing some fantastic basketball right now.
He's received some high praise. You know, back in the day when he was at Fremont High School, Donovan Mitchell called him a hooper when he was leading Fremont High to a state championship up here in Salt Lake. And now, recently, over the weekend, we had Jimmer Fredette on Cougar Sports Saturday. And if you missed that interview, go check out the Cougar Sports Saturday podcast. But you asked Jimmer about his thoughts on how Dallin Hall's playing in his second year at BYU. And Jimmer, the all-time great that he is, he gave high praise to Dallin.
More steady. You know, he's continuing to get better every game. You know, playing against, going from the WCCU now playing against Big 12 competition every night is an adjustment, right? Especially as a point guard. And honestly, you know, he's one of the only ball handlers on the team. He's the guy that has the ball in his hand 90% of the time. That's what Coach wants, right? Because he's the legitimate only real point guard that he's playing right now. So it's something that he has done a great job of getting better at. I thought last game against Texas, you know, he was great in the pick and roll, especially at the end of the game. And it wasn't always him making the basket or always him getting the assist, but he was making the right read. And then the team was being able to play off that. They were able to get easy buckets. So he's progressing, getting better. And this type of play, you know, this early in his career is only going to continue to help him get better. And, you know, I'm excited for his future.
I love that next level analysis from Jimmer because he talks about making the right read, something that, you know, is not measured in a box score, but it did feel like Dallin was just in the flow of this BYU offense, and he's been playing pretty well defensively too. I thought he had a great game against West Virginia, and you hope that it can continue. He was only the 11th player in college basketball this year to have a game with 12 assists and only 1 turnover. Outstanding performance for the sophomore guard.
Another takeaway, Mitch, before we get to some of your calls, 801-575-8255. Let us know your thoughts on the win against West Virginia, and you can answer our question of the day as well. Who has been BYU's best player through the first half of Big 12 play? Another takeaway, though, Richie Saunders is playing some dang good basketball. He is critical to this team's success because I think he's the best cutter on the team, which is key when you have great passing big men like Ali Khalifa. He wasn't there against West Virginia. He was sick, but throughout this season, he's been a great passer. Dallin Hall, he's cranking it up. Richie Saunders is great at backdoor cuts, getting to the rim. He's a fantastic defender, and now he's shooting the 3-ball at an impressive clip, above 50% over his past couple games. Richie Saunders, man, I have been so impressed with him. He has been insanely consistent in Big 12 play, and to get that kind of production, Mitch, off the bench, especially with Robinson moving into the starting lineup, you still are getting bench production. Richie Saunders getting it done. That's critical, in my opinion, to this team's success.
And I love that Saunders has just embraced his role. And I think back to the Baylor game, I think that was game 2 in the Big 12 schedule. He was the one guy that was just running downhill, and he continues to do that every single game. You know, for so many years, it felt like in recent seasons, you didn't know what you could count on night in, night out from this BYU program. We're getting to a point, it's now 21 games are in the rearview mirror. I can count on Richie Saunders every single night to give you around 8 to 12 points. He's going to attack the basket. He's going to run downhill. He's going to be a pest on the defensive end and make teams want to throw elbows at his face because he's just that guy on the defensive end. I love what Saunders has brought to this team, and he's only a sophomore, and that's kind of the theme with this entire BYU basketball program right now. They're reaching these incredible heights in college basketball. Number 9 in the KenPom ratings, number 7 in the net, number 21 in the AP Top 25 as of today. But they're young. I mean, you still got Richie Saunders. Dallin Hall's a sophomore. Ali Khalifa still got eligibility. This is the team outside of Spencer Johnson that could all run it back in essence next year. Now, I would assume Jackson Robinson's probably going to move on if he can be, truly an NBA draftable prospect. But this group can really build together, and this was the vision that Mark Pope had, and it was it was a path that I don't think many people felt that BYU was going to be led to success in the toughest basketball conference in America, and it's working. And I think the unique style of this BYU team is creating headaches for Big 12 foes. BYU's offense stretches opposing defenses. Mark Pope talked about that after the win in Morgantown.
It's really important that we try and stretch teams to guard 27 by 50 feet. Most teams make you guard 21 by 50 or 18 by 50, and we're trying to get it to 27 by 50. You know, it's extra 250 feet that you have to guard, and with the personnel we have and the way we play in our skill set, we need to work hard to continue to try and make teams guard in space.
Good. He's absolutely right, Mitch. And they've done a fantastic job these past 2 games in wins over Texas and West Virginia. We take your calls here. That's why it's called Cougar Nation. Let's get out to the phone line. Our dear friend Linda, we love having her on each and every week. Linda, who impressed you from the win against West Virginia?
I think Foose did, and I think Saunders did too, like Richie Saunders. Like you guys said, he did a really good job too. Now, how many points did Noah get?
He finished with 0, and that was due to him being under the weather. He was playing with a sickness, but kind of another up-and-down roller coaster performance for Noah, who had, prior to that game, been scoring at least 17 points in the previous 3.
Yeah, he did. That was really good the week before that he did that. I was really glad he did, and I'm really impressed. But I think if we're careful, we can win all the other games. If we play good, we'll win. Hopefully, I'm hoping we win the rest of our games.
Well, thanks for the call.
That would be outstanding.
Thanks for the call,
if they
Linda.
were able to do that, Mitch.
they would be. You know, BYU's in a spot, Matt, with the schedule where they've got Oklahoma coming up tomorrow night, and we'll preview that game a little bit later this hour. But they've got a real spot where they could get on a run and go on a 4 or 5 game win streak, which is just unthinkable in this conference with how difficult it is. But right now, they're on a 2-game win streak after a pair of victories over Texas and West Virginia. The schedule's a tad bit lighter, and I hate to even say that because, again, everyone in this league can get you on a moment's notice. But I like the spot that BYU's in, and they're playing with confidence. You just hope now that they can get healthy and get everyone together because still, when one guy returns, someone else goes out. Oh, Foose is back, and Ali Khalifa now gets the flu. It's just kind of an in-and-out deal, especially in the front court with BYU. But you wondered if it all comes together personnel-wise, BYU could be a pretty special team this season. Let's take our first time out. On the other side, we'll get to our question of the day. Who has been the best BYU player through the first half of Big 12 play? We'll get your thoughts, 801-575-8255. It's Cougar Nation here on KSL News Radio.
Jeff Kaplan here. Every once in a while, I do my show from home, and you probably wouldn't be able to tell. I'm on KSL and sending video to the internet all at the same time because I have Xfinity Wi-Fi. It's pretty amazing because at the same time, my wife's streaming a movie, grandkids come over, one's watching YouTube, 2 are playing Minecraft, and others watching a flick, all while Grandma says, "Shh, Papa's on the air." We run all these devices, and I do a show thanks to my reliable, fast connection. Xfinity Wi-Fi is a game changer. Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi on the Xfinity 10G network for a reliable connection throughout your home. Now through March 21st, new customers can get started with 1.2 gigabit internet for $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add unlimited mobile. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to Internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions.
Jackson Hewitt!
Jackson Hewitt is so sure that you'll get your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson Hewitt!
And Jackson Hewitt also guarantees the accuracy of your return for life. So don't just sit there. For your biggest refund guaranteed, walk into a Jackson Hewitt today and dance out Jackson Hewitt! Yeah!
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If there's a problem during your siding, gutter, or window installation project, most contractors will try to hide it, ignore it, or blame someone else. It's called passing the buck or turning a blind eye, or my favorite, finger pointing. My question is, where is the accountability? Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and look, sometimes problems just happen, no matter who you hire. Maybe the wrong color siding gets delivered, despite the order being placed perfectly, or maybe a downspout gets cut short. Honestly, it could be anything. At RGS Exteriors, mistakes are rare, but if something goes wrong, I can absolutely, positively, 100% guarantee you we'll never hide it, and we'll never pass the buck. We'll make certain everything turns out right for you. That's people over profits. That's the RGS Exteriors way. For a free estimate on siding, gutters, or windows, call 801-280-3110, rgsexteriors.com, rgsexteriors.com.
Jazz Plus is here. With Jazz Plus, you can watch games live from your TV, computer, tablet, or phone. So don't miss any of the action when you're at home or away. Can't get enough of your favorite team? Go behind the scenes and see what the team is up to on and off the court. With flexible plans, you can choose what works for you. From full season to monthly, or just pick a single game you want to watch. Sign up and subscribe today at UtahJazzPlus.com.
BYU fans, join me, Tim Hughes, and Amanda Dixon for stories that affect our jobs, taxes, and families. Utah's Morning News, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back in. It's Cougar Nation. We do this every single Monday night, breaking down the latest in BYU basketball, and that was a win against West Virginia, 86-73 on the road. It's a 2-game winning streak now with wins over Texas and West Virginia. They play tomorrow night to continue the winning streak on the road in Norman, Oklahoma against Boomer Sooner, Oklahoma. That's going to be a good one. Oklahoma, though, Mitch, reeling a little bit. Lost 3 of their last 4, so that game does not look nearly as tough as it once did.
It definitely doesn't, and it's a huge opportunity for BYU tomorrow to get a quad 1 victory. And I went back in the archives to look at some of the old BYU Oklahoma matchups in basketball, because unlike football, Oklahoma doesn't carry much weight on the hardwood. Their brand in football is top shelf. It was a big deal, BYU hosting Oklahoma on the gridiron last November in Provo. But basketball, like what comes to mind for you, Matt, when you think of Oklahoma basketball?
Blake Griffin, and that's about it. I think maybe Lon Kruger.
Yeah, I think Wayman Tisdale. Like, if you want to go farther back, and honestly, but it's a game though where I feel like BYU can go in and maybe have a lackluster crowd in front of them. We'll get to that a little bit later here, and there was some high praise from the Oklahoma head coach for this BYU team, I got to say. Cougar Nation every single Monday night here on KSL News Radio. We take your phone calls. 801-575-8255. Our question today, who has been BYU's best player through the first half of Big 12 play? Let's get out to the phone line. Mark from Bluffdale, he wants to weigh in on that question. Who do you think's been the best player, Mark?
Hey, I'm first-time caller, and I want to just tell you that I'm going to harass you a little bit. I think you need to ask a better question. In my opinion, it's not an individual. The team has had so much balance this year, with Nell stepping up or Jackson stepping up or Fu stepping up whenever. And so I think the answer is the entire team, or at very least, the team defense is the answer, not an individual.
I like that. I think the team defense has been outstanding. It's one of the underrated aspects to this group. Do you think it can be maintained the rest of the Big 12 play?
I do. I haven't seen the defense has only been short for a few short streaks during a few games. I think that it's one of the most stable aspects that we have of the team is the team defense.
Well, Mark, thanks for the call. Appreciate that. Matt, what say you? Do you feel like it's just we're looking in the wrong direction here? We should just focus more on the collection as a whole instead of the individual pieces?
Well, I'll push back on Mark a little bit. I think it's a great question because it's a hard question to answer, and that's what makes this team so fun. What Mark said is right. What makes this team so good is that you never know who it's going to be, and that's a real luxury that this team has.
Sure.
That on any given night, it could be Foose, it could be Noah, it could be Jackson Robinson. So I think that's why the question is out there, is because you can go a lot of different ways. And I might surprise you with the way that I'm going to go here. I think the best player for BYU throughout Big 12 play has been Richie Saunders off the bench. He's shooting 39% from three in conference play, 56% from three in his last 4 games. One of those, he didn't practice all week. The Texas game, he was sick. He was down with the flu that he probably passed on to Ali Khalifa and the rest of the team because it just circles in the locker room. But he's played in 20 or more minutes in 6 of the last 8 games. So against Cincinnati and Baylor, he wasn't playing as much. That's ramped up because he's playing so well. 4 rebounds per game, only 1 turnover in conference play. He doesn't pass the ball a ton either because he's cutting and getting to the rim, but 4 assists to 1 turnover, that's a great ratio. And then with so many guys in and out, Foose has missed time, Ali's sick. He's available. He's played in all the Big 12 games. He's given you great production. I just think Richie Saunders, man, he is, if he's not the best player throughout Big 12 play, he's certainly the most underrated.
Remember last year, Matt, when we spoke with Richie, I think it was midway through WCC play, and we asked him, has it been tough to not have a consistent role on a nightly basis? And he was kind of like, yeah, it's been tough a little bit, but now every night, you know what you're getting out of Richie Saunders. I think it's a good pick. I'm going to go with Foose, even though, the Cincinnati, Baylor, UCF game,
That's a third of the games, man.
I know, but man, his impact, to me, he's changed the outlook again, Matt, because I feel like this BYU team could truly make us a run to the second weekend in the NCAA tournament because of a healthy Fousseyni Traore. That game against Cincinnati, the Big 12 opener, weeks ago, feels like a lifetime ago. But without a legit post presence, BYU got smoked. But ever since the emergence of Foose coming back from the hamstring injury, I think it's just changed everything for BYU. When he checked in that second half against Houston, he's just been off and running ever since. And his dominance was on display at West Virginia. Even West Virginia big man Jesse Edwards, a Syracuse transfer who BYU tried to get out of the portal, he even admitted that he struggled with Big Foose.
Yeah, all credit to him, actually, this game. He made it really tough for me and Pat. He just played a really good game, was strong. I know I'm a lot better than that, so it's just annoying just knowing that, in that way, I definitely kind of led my team now because I'm a lot better in defense than what I showed tonight. It's just, at this point, it's one of those nights. But, yeah, like I said, credit to him. He did a really good job. Made it tough.
It's amazing, too, how Foose plays. He's only 6'6", yet his strength, I underestimate, and I sometimes forget how strong his base is. He is explosive, and the way he commands a presence down low, I just think it does a lot of good things for BYU, and it opens up this high-powered offense, Matt.
It really does, because we saw at the beginning of Big 12 play, Mitch, without that low post presence, you lived and died by the three. And there were games that they lived gloriously. And there were other moments where the droughts came on and they couldn't score. And I think what you see now with Foose, and we saw this in the Texas game in the second half in particular, is when the offense slows down, the game slows down, you're being heavily guarded on the perimeter, you know you can dump it inside, and he's going to get a good look. Now, against Houston, we saw it a little bit. It wasn't falling, but they were still great looks. But against Texas and against West Virginia, he's shooting at a great clip, 10 of 15. I mean, when you are that close to the basket, and he can get as close as he wants whenever he wants because he's so dang strong and tough, it changes everything. Because to have a low post presence coupled with a lethal three-point shooting team, that is the makings for an offense that can go deep into the NCAA tournament.
Matt, having a good time here in the studio. I'm just saying, you don't have to come in anymore, Matt. I mean, because I'm just hanging out here with Jeff Kaplan. He's going to be holding it down here, news, traffic, and weather, coming up on the other
Jeff,
side.
You'll never take my spot on Cougar Nation.
801-575-8255. You can call in, weigh in on the question of the day. Who has been BYU's best player through the first half of Big 12 play? We'll get a preview on that Oklahoma game coming up next here on Cougar Nation.
6:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. Our top local story this hour. Salt Lake City leaders say violent crime is way down, about 11% in the last year, but they're promising it won't stop there. KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce with the story.
Police Chief Mike Brown says there are a lot of factors behind the decrease, but a big part of it is the hard work of the patrol officers and detectives who do the job every day.
Because of our work, we are making it crystal clear that Salt Lake City is safe. Our city is thriving, and we are excited to see our city grow.
He says the overall crime rate dropped 11%, but some different categories had more or less. For example, car thefts dropped 30%, while the number of homicides held steady at 16 total. Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
Well, it may be wet in the valleys, but this storm is bringing a lot of fresh powder to Utah ski resorts. Alta reporting 7 inches over the last 12 hours. Powder Mountain picked up 10. Kevin Eubank is talking about another foot or two through the course of this week. That's for the mountains. Our top national story from California, firefighters have now responded to more than 45 mudslides across L.A.
City crews have been busy clearing debris left from those mudslides. In Studio City, a mudslide last night damaged 2 homes. 9 homes in the area were evacuated. This woman says she and her family packed up and went to a relative's house.
I'm worried. I think I have 2 cars that are kind of really messed up right now.
One of the 2 homes damaged had its garage taken out. A car in the home's driveway was smashed up against a brick mailbox post. Blake Trolley, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Coming up, falling temperatures. Our KSL forecast is coming up next. KSL News Time, 6:32.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This Monday Tax Tip is brought to you by Susan Spears, CEO of the Utah Association of CPAs.
The Employee Retention Credit was a refundable tax credit that small businesses could claim during the pandemic. It provided some relief for struggling businesses that kept their employees on their payrolls, even when the government restrictions required them to shut down. While employers may still apply for ERC credits through April 15, 2024 for 2020 claims and April 15, 2025 for 2021 claims, the IRS has warned about ERC mills that are preparing false ERC claims. To find out if you're eligible, contact your CPA. Know that you will need to amend tax returns for any credits received.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a CPA. Go to uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. That's uacpa.org. Listen to KSL on Monday for more tax tips from the Utah Association of CPAs.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly, different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
It's been all over the news.
Blood banks across the country are facing critical shortages.
The levels at Utah's blood banks are critical.
Right now, we're facing a critical shortage of blood.
KSL News Radio has teamed up with ARUP Blood Services in Sandy this February to help you find your perfect match. Listen for uplifting stories about the miracle of blood donation and learn how you can help save a life. Find your perfect match. Give blood. More details at kslnewsradio.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
We've had a stalled vehicle on the ramp from eastbound I-215 South Belt at the State Street exit. It had been blocking a center lane of travel. Snowplows are out on I-80 in Parley's Canyon from the weather that we've been receiving. The upper portion of Parley's slick and sometimes snowpacked. And leftover slowing southbound I-15 in the valley between the South Interchange and SR 92 Temp Highway. Prioritize your marriage and celebrate your relationship. Celebrate with a virtual date at the Utah Marriage Celebration Friday, February 9th. Register at strongermarriage.com. That's strongermarriage.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL weather forecast. Showers tonight, rain tomorrow, rain Wednesday and Thursday. By Friday, we're talking about snow, maybe 1 to 3 inches. Right now, raining and 43 degrees. I'm Jeff Kaplan, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Just like Cougar fans come together for BYU basketball, the community gathers around KSL each morning for important news. Listen tomorrow between 5 and 9 to KSL News Radio.
Welcome back in. It's Cougar Nation. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte breaking down a big win, BYU over West Virginia. And momentarily, we will start to look ahead to that Oklahoma game tomorrow. But this is Cougar Nation. We take your calls each and every Monday night, 801-575-8255. And before we get to what's trending up, trending down, Mitch, we've got a mystery caller who will not identify. So let's get out to this mystery caller. You're live on Cougar Nation.
Hi, Daddy.
Is this Ruby?
Yeah.
Wow. What's on your mind, Rubes?
Who's your favorite BYU basketball player?
Oh, wow. Good question. So that's why there was a mystery. And producer Nate kept it a mystery. I understand now. Okay. Well, thanks for the call, Ruby. Nice job. You're on KSL for the first time. I know that she wanted to be on the radio one day, so I appreciate the call. My favorite BYU basketball player maybe ever, I would say probably Jimmer. Probably my favorite basketball player ever. What about you, Matt? Who's your favorite BYU basketball player ever?
It's Jimmer without a doubt. And as you mentioned, we had a great interview with Jimmer. We talked about the Olympics. We talked about a lot of stuff on Cougar Sports Saturday with Jimmer. And what I love about Jimmer is he is still just such an approachable, nice, good representative of BYU. I love that he still comes to the games. He's always shown on the screen. If you haven't been to a home game yet, before they drop the sheets and have the introductions, it's Jimmer Fredette. This is the best arena in the Big 12. Turn off those lights. Like, Jimmer Fredette has just become, I think, what every athlete should aspire to be at BYU, because he made the most of it, and he'll always be a legend. And because he still has that tight relationship with BYU, I think it's helped keep that legendary status. And I'm totally with you. The way he played on the court also, we should talk about that. He was he was player of the year, Mitch, so it's hard not to choose Jimmer.
Thanks for the call, Ruby. I'll see you at home later tonight. Appreciate the call. Love you very much. 801-575-8255. Let's get to what's trending.
Cougar Nation, trending. What's trending up and what's trending down this season.
All right, trending up and trending down. Now, I'll start things off, Matt. Trending up for BYU, it's their defense. We had a call earlier about the defense. Look, this BYU team, they can lock folks up. They're top 25 nationally in defensive metrics. All the headlines, the praise have centered around BYU's high-powered offense, and for good reason. They have leaned into the identity of having the ultimate green light when it comes to shooting three balls. But defensively, BYU will lock people up. And West Virginia, I mean, I can't undersell it enough. I think the metrics and the losing record of West Virginia say, oh, that's not that great of a win. The AP pollsters weren't impressed. But they had been undefeated in Big 12 play at home, and BYU in stretches shut them down. BYU built up a 17-point lead and was rolling, and it took a Carissa kind of late heave three-pointers to really get back into it. I thought BYU defensively was a big reason for that win on Saturday, and I feel like it's something that's going to carry going forward with Foose back in the lineup.
Well said, Mitch. They're 21st in three-point defense. They're 13th in rebounding margin. I bring those up to reemphasize your point because they've played 8 Big 12 games now. Like, this is a big enough sample size at the best league in basketball that these things can continue. The three-point defense, I think, is going to stay. I think their ability to rebound, which is a big part to the defense. Now, you can guard the whole clock, but if you're giving up offensive rebounds, that's not good either. So that's a great observation that the BYU defense continues to climb. For me, Jackson Robinson is trending up. He was so good in non-conference play, and then he cooled off to start Big 12 play, and you were wondering, 2 of 10 from 3, like that's not good enough from a potential first-round NBA draft pick. Well, he's had double-digit scoring in 3 straight games. He's had 2 back-to-back games where he's shooting the three ball above 40%, and he's made multiple threes in 4 of the last 5 games. So he's clearly ascending offensively, and I think that's important because you still need a couple guys to be consistent offensively. You want Jackson Robinson to be one of those guys, and I think he's returning to form.
I like that pick a lot. It's been, Jax, to see him kind of get back into his groove offensively, it's needed for BYU because there's going to be a game or two where I feel like he's that one guy that can put it on the deck and go get a bucket. Like that's one thing that BYU kind of lacks. When they're not just letting that thing, passing that thing everywhere around the court. Do they have the guy that can, when all breaks down, can just go get a bucket? I think that's Jackson Robinson, but he's got to be, kind of in that rhythm offensively, and he's been showing well for BYU as of late. Here's kind of an outside-the-box thinking for my trending down. It's not centered on BYU because I really feel like there's a lot to like about BYU. I don't know if you caught wind of this, Matt. Trending down, the perception of the Big 12. And I bring this up because some national talking heads in college basketball, well-respected voices, saying that the Big 12 is not as good as the metrics say they are, basically saying the Big 12 teams like BYU gamed the system in non-conference, playing weak non-conference schedules, and then once they got to the point of conference play, they all have these high rankings and they just beat up on each other and stay in the high rankings. Do you buy that?
I don't buy it at all. I think when you have a league as deep as this, and let's not forget, too, this league, you still have Texas and Oklahoma, and you add 4 new teams. Bill Self talked about this a few weeks ago. They had no idea they were getting the caliber of teams that they got. Houston, yeah, we had an idea that Houston would come in and be good. They've been building a defensive juggernaut down in Texas. Houston's good, but no one thought BYU would do this. UCF just beat Oklahoma by double digits. No one thought UCF would do anything. Cincinnati has played well against some teams. So just because this league literally from top to bottom, like even the Oklahoma State just got a win. Like West Virginia and Oklahoma State are at the bottom of the league, and they're capable of beating anybody in the league on any given night. I don't know how do you disparage a conference where you have no freebie games? I don't understand.
My theory is that I think folks in college basketball can't handle that the East Coast is at the center of the universe of college hoops anymore. Big East, ACC, they're not the best league. It's the Big 12. And I think what makes the Big 12 so good, too, is there's no bottom. Oklahoma State on any given day can beat someone on their home court. Probably can't win on the road, but man, they could beat you in Stillwater. And same with West Virginia, who took down Kansas, and we saw Kansas beat Houston pretty easily over the weekend. So I just think this league's been pretty amazing, and I'm surprised that there's now people saying oh, they gamed the system. Isn't that kind of what the SEC did in football? I think the Big 12 is on top of the college basketball world. But I just had to get that out there.
Let's not forget this point too, Mitch. What are some of the best teams in the Big East? Creighton, they play in the Midwest, for heaven's sakes. So, yeah, that's a good point. For me, trending down, Tylenol and NyQuil. Does any of these cold and flu medicines work anymore? Because I wondered that all winter long. I'm like, I'm drinking NyQuil, I'm popping pills, I'm still getting sick. I'm like, is there any medicine out there that can keep us healthy? And this applies to the BYU team. Wash your hands. Does hand sanitizer work? It's like these flus and colds have evolved to just be ever growing and will always get you. It's frustrating.
Hey.
I've spent all this money on this medicine. It's not working. I want to be healthy.
I would still rather this setup where players are just missing games because of an illness, but the world around them doesn't shut down. So I'm okay with this setup compared to, the NCAA tournament is now canceled. Everything is done.
Hey,
I'd
guess
rather
what?
have this setup.
I tried all those things. I wore a mask. I did all that. I got sick. Like these illnesses are just amazing. They just get you. So I'm not going to buy this stuff anymore. It's trending down.
801-575-8255. Do you agree with Matt on illness? No, I'm kidding. Question of the day. Who's the best BYU basketball player through the first half of Big 12 play? And, hey, anything else on your mind in BYU hoops, call in, 801-575-8255. We'll break down BYU versus Oklahoma next. Tip-off tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Let's break it down here on Cougar Nation.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. Listen, we're fiduciaries. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. Now, imagine how that would be if you could actually retire 3 to 5 years sooner than your plan was. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan, taking into consideration any rental properties that you have, any pension income that you have, your Social Security. Listen, we put that all together for you in writing. It will allow us to build your income based on inflation. You know, inflation has been rapidly rising. You and I both need a plan that whatever we start out our income at, in 5 or 10 years, we're going to need 40% more income. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Bigger stories demand more accountability, more experience, more trust.
If it's like an election day or we're expecting some bad weather, KSL presents the story. Unbiased. It's a good local source.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
Make sure you have the KSL News Radio app to stream BYU games wherever you go. You can also get breaking news alerts and podcast your favorite KSL show, all on one app for KSL News Radio.
That's right. Download KSL News Radio app and you can listen tomorrow night to BYU versus Oklahoma. Tip off at 6 o'clock, pregame at 5 here on your legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio. You can get all the coverage, too, on KSLSports.com. We'll be breaking it down as BYU goes to Oklahoma. Norman, for the first time since 1987. First meeting against Oklahoma since the 1992 Maui Invitational. In that game, Kevin Nixon buried a game winner to put BYU in the winner's side of the bracket in the Maui Invitational, which they then later played number 1 ranked Duke with Grant Hill and Bobby Hurley back then 32 years ago for BYU. So it's Cougs and Oklahoma. Your thoughts on this one-time Big 12 matchup on the hardwood, Matt?
I think this is a really important game for BYU because Oklahoma, I know they've been dipping a little bit, but it's still a quality road game. And we do this fun piece every single week on KSLSports.com. Yourself, myself, Nate Slack, our producer. We answer a couple questions. It's up on the site right now. You can read it at KSLSports.com. And one of the questions was, is this BYU basketball team elite? And I said, I'm not ready to go there yet because they don't have a lot of great signature road wins. That UCF road win is looking better by the week. I will say that. But I want to see them get a couple big road wins. And although Oklahoma's slipped a little bit, I still think that'd be a great road win. And they need to get a few of those before the Big 12 tournament, before I start to buy in to this being a Sweet 16 team or even further. So this is a really good opportunity, and when a team's not playing great like Oklahoma has the past couple weeks, you got to take advantage of those opportunities. And it's a big opportunity because if you get that one, you're on a 3-game streak, Mitch. Then you get multiple days off before you host Kansas State, which is nowhere near as good as anyone thought they would be, at home on Saturday night. Like you said earlier, this could become a nice little winning streak, but it starts with a key road game against the Sooners.
And if you can get this win, your Big 12 record would be above 500 for the first time this season. Oklahoma is 16-6 overall, 4-5 in Big 12 play. BYU, of course, 16-5 overall, 4-4 in the conference. Sooners have lost, 5 of their 6 losses have been in Big 12 play. They're led by Siena transfer Javian McCollum. He leads OU in scoring 13.7 points per game during Big 12 play. They do have a familiar face on this team, Latrey Darthard. He's a former Utah Valley player. He faced BYU the past 3 years when he was at UVU. But this Oklahoma team is, looking at BYU in high regard. But the fan base for Oklahoma, they're not that excited for it. They're almost begging people to come to the game, Matt. We've discussed quite a bit about how tickets at BYU basketball games, single game tickets, have been really expensive for the casual fan, $45, sometimes $60. Oklahoma's selling tickets for $10 a pop, and they're selling popcorn, sodas, and beer, $2 a piece. They're begging people to come to this game,
Mitch.
They're begging
Get
people.
me out there immediately.
They're begging people to come through the turnstiles to see Oklahoma take on BYU. But you know what? Oklahoma head coach Porter Moser, he's the former Loyola Chicago coach that led the Ramblers to that Final Four run with Sister Jean. He's now in third year with Oklahoma. He's not as thrilled about hosting BYU because, man, he thinks BYU is pretty special in college basketball.
This is as difficult as a prep as you're going to play. As we get in talking about BYU, they run their offense as fluid as anybody in the country. It makes basketball savants excited when you see their offense. The amount of shooters they have, they're one of the top. I think they are 1 or 2 in the nation in threes. I think the Oklahoma fans are going to see that you're not going to stop them from taking them. They're going to take them. You're trying to contest them. You're trying to limit them and push them out farther. But they're going to do what they do, and they do it extremely well. They're older. They run as good an offense. They're 7th in the net, but they're also, defensively, they're also in the top 25. They're good on both ends. They're an elite team. They're a team that can make, after watching a lot of teams on tape this year, they're a team that can make a deep, deep run in this tournament because they guard and they shoot and they're older and they run phenomenal offense.
How about that, Matt? That's some high praise from Porter Moser, Oklahoma head coach. That's sound courtesy of Soonerscoop.com.
Nearly an elite comment, except he couldn't help himself. He had to throw the older comments in there a couple of times. They're not that old. A lot of this team didn't serve an LDS mission. Foose didn't go. Jackson Robinson didn't go. They're not that old. They're not 25 years old, for heaven's sakes.
Well, Spencer Johnson is. He's the oldest man in college. He's 26.
Hey, we all know he's had more Cougar tails than the Oklahoma Sooners players have even thought about consuming in their lifetime. Great commentary, though, from Coach Moser, and I'll tell you what, one thing that keeps coming back to mind for me, we had Cody Feger on, was it last week? I think it was last week, Mitch,
Yes.
on Cougar Sports Saturday. And he talked about one of the things that has surprised him about the Big 12 play is that they didn't anticipate that their style of play would be so different from everybody else's. And I think that has really caught a lot of these teams by surprise because they are so up and down. They shoot a lot of threes, but they do it in a really tactful way. There haven't been that many games where they're just jacking them up, and you're like, what the heck is going on here? Like, they're taking good shots within the flow of the offense. And for coaches like Bill Self, coaches like Porter Moser, to give them that kind of respect, I think that speaks volumes to Coach Pope, his assistant coaches, these players, this program, for building something really unique. And it's been a lot of fun to watch. And this has been one of the most enjoyable BYU teams I've ever watched because they're not dependent on anybody, like we talked about. They play a really fun style of ball, and I love that about this team.
801-575-8255. The great thing about Cougar Nation every Monday night, we hear from you, Cougar Nation. Let's get out to the phone line. Jeff from Springville. Jeff, what's on your mind on this BYU basketball team?
Hey, I love the show. Thanks a lot. This is great.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm really excited as anybody about the success that BYU is having, especially on the road lately. That's really hard to win on the road like we talked. But the only thing is, it always seems that in the second half, and you know what I'm going to say, they get a lead, and it's just always so hard. It's almost like clockwork. That lead diminishes you, and it drives you crazy. I don't know. Is this a problem, you think? Or I know I'm picking at things, but it just a lot. Just leave it at that. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. No, and I think it's a fair question because when you hear Porter Moser saying this BYU team can make a deep run, you got to get deep into the weeds and analyze every nook and cranny about this team. You know, that West Virginia game, they were +4 in the second half. Outscored West Virginia 48-44. Against Texas, they were +9. Against Houston, it was even, 34-34. But, you know, you go to back to that Texas Tech game, they were -23. You hope you don't have a moment like this at Oklahoma. It's a quad one game. You know, if you do build that big lead, you know, put the foot on the gas and put them out because this is an Oklahoma team right now, Matt, that I feel is lacking confidence. But I'm not as worried about the second half lapses as we saw maybe in the first part of Big 12 play. What about you?
Same. I was really worried about it. And then last week after the Texas win, Coach Pope, in his post-game presser with the media, said that was a huge emphasis, a huge focus point for this team is second half. We have to win the second half. Regardless of what the score is at halftime, we have to win the second half. And to your point, even win in the second half, this staff, this team realizes that they got to be sharp in the second half. And I've been encouraged with a small sample size that maybe they fixed some of those issues that plagued them to start Big 12 play.
801-575-8255. We still got some time to take another call if you want to get on board with us. Again, BYU, Oklahoma tomorrow. Tip-off at 6 o'clock. Pre-game gets started at 5. What's a quick key that you have, Matt, for tomorrow's game for BYU to come away with a coveted road win in Big 12 play?
Hey, it's the same key as West Virginia. Get the ball to Foose. Dump that puppy in the low post. Oklahoma's a good three-point defensive team. How can you counteract that? Dump it down low. Let the big fella go to work. Foose.
I love that, and I think that Foose is just playing with so much confidence right now to the point where if Ali Khalifa isn't able to go and he's, you know, doesn't
How would he get there, by the way? Would he get a first-class flight on, like, Breeze out of Provo?
You'd have to hope that, you know, some, deep pocket booster says, hey, here's a private jet. Get him out there to Norman. Don't make him fly commercial, for goodness sake. I know that.
Hey, there's the Egyptian magician of Southwest. He's in the B group.
Oh, he's got B. He's got B31. Come on, you got to upgrade him, please. But honestly, I'm okay with BYU just turning to Foose and, hey, get Ali healthy, get him ready for Saturday against Kansas State. So we'll talk to you coming up on Saturday for BYU Kansas State on Cougar Sports Saturday, and also talk to you next week here on Cougar Nation every Monday night here on your legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio.
KSL KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
7 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top local story this hour. Millions of taxpayer dollars have been spent to keep wolves out of Utah. Before we spend another penny, one Utah lawmaker wants to know where all that money is going.
I actually am very supportive of delisting wolves and having wolves under state management, but I'm not necessarily and haven't been supportive of this blank check that's contributed itself through time with not much accountability.
That was Representative Casey Snyder questioning Don P., representing Cougar Nation, at an appropriations meeting last Thursday. P. and Representative Darren Owens asked for $500,000 in funding. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The bipartisan border bill is being pushed by the Republican Senate leadership to control illegal immigration. Here's ABC senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott with more details.
The $118 billion package adds $20 billion to strengthen the border, hiring new officers and Border Patrol agents. It also contains $60 billion for Ukraine and $14 billion for Israel. It includes a trigger mechanism. When migrant apprehensions reach 5,000 a day, the border will automatically shut down. And it makes it harder for migrants to claim asylum, expediting the process to address the backlog.
Former President Trump has urged House and Senate Republicans to vote against this border bill, saying its passage would be a win for Democrats. Coming up, a few days of rain. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time 7:01.
Jeff Kaplan here. Every once in a while, I do my show from home, and you probably wouldn't be able to tell. I'm on KSL and sending video to the internet all at the same time because I have Xfinity Wi-Fi. It's pretty amazing because at the same time, my wife's streaming a movie, grandkids come over, one's watching YouTube, two are playing Minecraft, and others watching a flick, all while Grandma says, "Shh, Papa's on the air." We run all these devices, and I do a show thanks to my reliable, fast connection. Xfinity Wi-Fi is a game changer. Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi on the Xfinity 10G network for a reliable connection throughout your home. Now through March 21st, new customers can get started with 1.2 gigabit internet for $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add unlimited mobile. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
If you only have a 401k, you're not getting the most for retirement.
Wait, what?
Add a Robinhood IRA on top, then they'll boost it by 3%.
You can do that?
And if you transfer in any retirement account, you get 3% on top of that.
Is there a limit to the match?
No limit. Robinhood Gold gets you the biggest contribution match of any IRA on the market. Sign up for Robinhood Gold at Robinhood.com/boost by April 30th. Subscription fees apply.
Investing involves risk. 3% match requires gold for 1 year from first match. Must keep IRA for 5 years. Match on transfers subject to additional terms and conditions. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC.
Valentine's Day is here. This year, give the ultimate gift. Name a star after your sweetheart. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For 45 years, we've named millions of stars for celebrities, dignitaries, and individuals worldwide. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can give the most memorable gift. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. In football, the kicker sits on the bench for most of the game. They are not needed until they are really needed. Then in one play, they might win the game. Most work teams require specialty expertise as well. If you're the tax accountant or tax attorney, you might spend a lot of time on the bench before you get your chance to save the bottom line or prevent a lawsuit. Sometimes what you have in common with your team members might be less important than the unique skills you bring to your team. So team leaders need to recognize that there are times when one expert who rarely gets used is the most important member of the team. Learn more about what makes the best teams work in an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with Dino Pay. Lingering backup on Highway 40 near Strawberry Reservoir, both directions. Also slow moving on I-80 lasting several miles west of Kimball Junction, both directions there as well. Mr. Max Buy One Get One sale. Buy one suit for $299, get the second one for $100. Any style, any occasion, free alterations, and 9 locations. Mr. Mac. The rain we've been seeing in the valleys today will continue tomorrow. Temperatures stay pretty warm with a high of 54 degrees. Temperatures fall from there, getting down to the low 40s by this weekend. Right now it is 43 and raining. I'm Claire Scott, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
You're listening to an encore presentation of KSL at Night. KSL at Night was recorded and produced this afternoon. KSL at Night. Some of Utah's top political specialists join a roundtable on the day's biggest stories. KSL is at 102.7 FM and on every smart speaker when you say play KSL News Radio.
Welcome to KSL at Night. I'm Mara Carabello, joined by Taylor Morgan. Taylor, we're headed to the end of January. We're in the third week of the legislative session, which always keeps us busy, and we're going to do a little deep dive on the legislature.
Eye on the Hill 2024. Special coverage on KSL at Night.
One of the most talked about topics in the first week or so are two pretty controversial social bills. One deals with access to bathrooms and specifically what would be the access of transgendered individuals. The other one was the notion of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and particularly in our schools. So that would be higher education as well as grade schools and K through 12. So we're not going to spend too much time tonight on the bills themselves. They've been heavily covered. I'm sure our listeners are pretty familiar with them, but highly controversial and what would be considered social issues. Yes. So maybe they're key issues and maybe they are message bills, depending on maybe who you are and where you're coming from, and maybe which side of the political pendulum you are. But either way, they had long testimonies in committee. They had hundreds of people come out and speak on them and lots of coverage. So what we want to jump from for our discussion today, Taylor, is that right after they were passed out of both legislative bodies, the governor signed them.
That's right. The governor signed both of these bills today. Mara, I believe it was today. It may have been, was it Friday?
I think it was Friday.
Okay. Well,
last couple of days.
Essentially,
as soon as they were passed by the legislature.
As soon as they were passed by the legislature, the governor signed these bills. And Mara, that is not typical.
Right.
That is, I think, an unusual, unexpected, well, not to us, but in terms of the public and the normal process, that is something unusual this year with Governor Cox. And that's what I think we really want to drill down on is the premeditation, the orchestration of these two bills. We have heard about them for months. This didn't just happen, Mara. A version of these bills also was discussed at the legislature the last 2-3 years.
Right.
Certainly leading up to this session, Governor Cox made specifically DEI a real priority.
Right. And he's probably taken the largest public journey on the issue, particularly of transgendered kids. Less so on DEI. He's sort of come out pretty forcefully on this issue as of late. But so as you suggested, we're wondering or we want to analyze why the legislature took it up at the beginning. Now, we believe, and you and I spend some time on the Hill and talk to a lot of people, and most of us believe it was a political calculation.
Yeah.
Start with a hyper-conservative issue that rings sort of on the social spectrum. It's virtue signaling at its worst and it's value protecting at its best, maybe, depending, again, on where you are from the political spectrum, what you see it as.
Clear strategy, right? By
Strategic.
Leadership and the governor to come in, deal with these bills quickly, get them done. The governor signed them, Mara, so we call this immediate effectiveness. These bills do not go into effect in June like most bills that pass.
One provision has a May provision, just to be too technical.
Right.
But so why? Because most bills, now remember also, bills can be signed and gone into law, or they can just go
the
into
governor
law.
can just let them go into law.
Ignore everything if he wants to.
He could also veto.
So when one chooses to sign it in real time, it's absolute political stagecrafting.
Yes.
Now, he got a tremendously good press hit. He, what we would say in the language of political communications is events drive politics. The governor created an event out of the bill signing of these two pieces of legislation that allowed him to gather the press, and he could send a political message. He could express his political position as it relates to both the DEI and the transgender bill.
It was a masterclass in political strategy and execution. Whether you support
Agree
or
or not.
oppose, right? We are just commenting on the strategy involved with what specifically Governor Spencer Cox did here. The big question, Mara, that I think we're both leading up to here is why?
Right. So let's put people into boxes unfairly.
Okay.
I think that many people who voted for Spencer Cox in the last election may have called themselves more centrist conservatives.
Okay.
That you had choices in, for example, the former Speaker of the House, Greg Hughes, who's more of a Trump firebrand Republican. You had a lot of different choices in that field. And Cox was presenting himself as fourth, fifth generation Utah, born and raised sort of farming community, common sense, true conservative, but kind of an inclusive centrist guy.
The heart was a very prominent feature on all of his campaign materials.
And he talks about this disagree better. He's all about sort of kinder and gentler, not red meat.
Yeah.
That would be, I think, what you and I would have called his brand going into his first election. Now he's headed into his second election, and he seems to have felt a need to pivot to more of a firebrand Republican.
He has positioned, in my opinion, he's positioned himself to the right side of the Utah Republican Party, at least in my opinion, as a political strategist. Unnecessarily, Mara, he does have two challengers in Representative Phil Lyman,
who's considered a pretty firebrand Republican.
Definitely further to the right. Also, former State Party Chair Carson Jorgensen, also far off to the right.
Right.
Neither, in all due respect to Representative Phil Lyman, who announced his run for governor on this program,
That's
KSL
right.
at Night, months ago. And no disrespect to Carson Jorgensen, but neither of them are a true political threat to Governor Cox. Governor Cox is also collecting the signatures, we know, statewide to guarantee a primary election. There is a good chance he could also potentially win at convention, but he doesn't have to, Mara. So why, the way I see it, why would he run against his own brand in this way, so to speak?
Right. And the other thing is, what do you do with the people who feel sort of betrayed? Now, to be honest, I don't think it's going to affect his election outcome. I don't think you think it's going to affect his election.
I don't think so either, no.
The polling, and the reason we have these opinions is looking at polling data.
Yeah.
So it's not just our observations. Poll after poll show him so solid in most segments in our communities, including unaffiliated
His
voters.
polling is so strong, Mara, that if anything, he could have taken a political risk.
That's right.
Instead.
Right. And gone with his national disagree better. Let's be kinder. Let's be a little gentler to each other. So here's the speculation I think you and I are both hearing in the hallways.
So much.
This is a national play of some kind.
Yeah.
So what is that? Is it a huge association title like a governor association? Is it a cabinet position? What is it? Is it
Mara, I'm not going to speculate. I am want to speculate on KSL at Night. I'm going to rein it in a little bit right now. But listen, we know that Governor Spencer Cox has had a meteoric rise in Utah politics.
Absolutely.
He started out in the Utah House, was appointed by former Governor Gary Herbert to be lieutenant governor. And of course, then we know won the governorship by a solid margin against formidable opponents, the likes of John Huntsman Jr., a former governor. So Spencer Cox is on the rise. And, I would not be surprised if he indeed does have national ambitions on a grand scale.
I'm going to add city council and mayor to that resume of almost every couple of years.
That's right.
So these are the kinds of things we're watching when we watch unusual political moves and really bills that have captured people's passion areas, as the DEI and transgender bill has. Interesting analysis. We're going to continue to stay up on the hill with one of Utah's hottest issues, which is, do we have enough water? So please stay tuned with us on KSL at Night.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
Dozens of podcasts podcasts a day right there.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
The last thing you want in the morning is more noise.
The day's just getting started. Maybe you're feeling a little anxious or overwhelmed, and it's not even 8 yet.
So catching up on important news stories, some sense of weather and traffic, it shouldn't be stressful.
Get a wrap on the day ahead from smart, inviting voices who know you're trying to ease in. Do you love a rainy day?
I do, actually.
I do too.
Tim and Amanda, mornings from 5 to 9. They have you covered on KSL News Radio.
They say when you pick up one end of the stick, you pick up the other, and that's so true when starting a positive journey. Like what I've experienced is I've lost over 60 pounds in 4.5 months with Soda weight loss. Yeah, 60. When I finally committed to changing my health through Soda, which, by the way, is spelled S-O-T-A and stands for state of the art, I suddenly felt freed. From day one, I was no longer embarrassed about how my body looked, and I started resisting that urge to cover or camouflage it like anyone who's been overweight knows what I'm talking about. Why? Because I knew it was going to work, and I wasn't going to look like this for much longer. And I don't. Someone else who knows what I'm talking about is Rosie, a fellow Soda client like me. Rosie joined up with her mom, and now she's down 50 pounds.
I came back home from a 2-week trip, and everybody was like, in awe. They were like, wow, you look really great. You look terrific. You look completely different. I haven't turned into a new person, but I think I'm finding the best version of myself.
So make 2024 the year you finally let go of that weight for good. Go to SotaWeightLoss.com, S-O-T-A weightloss.com. Soda stands for, say it with me, state of the art.
Are you ready for Valentine's Day? Visit Shane Company for a last-minute gift that won't feel last minute. We have the largest selection of fine jewelry in every price range. From on-trend necklaces with colorful gemstones to classic diamond earrings, every piece is lovingly crafted and backed by our free lifetime warranty. We'll help you find the perfect gift, and it will look like you've been planning for months. P.S. They'll never know you waited until the last minute. Give a Valentine's Day gift that was made to shine. Shane Company. Fine jewelry since 1929.
You're free now. Free to kick back, relax, and stream beyond your wildest dreams.
Rom-coms, slasher comps, space operas, space westerns, cupcake bake-offs on Mars.
Free to fill your feed with impossibly chonky chonkers who chonk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things.
Bowl of chips on the robo-vacuum.
And master devices that have no business being smart.
Smart forks, smart toothbrushes, smart tortilla makers.
Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability. Service in select locations only.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
You're listening to an encore presentation of KSL at Night. Eye on the Hill 2024. Special coverage on KSL at Night.
Welcome back to a special edition of KSL at Night. This is Taylor Morgan alongside Mara Carabello covering the 2024 Utah legislative session. Mara, we are in week 3. It feels like week 12. 45 days can never, ever feel this long at any other time of the year.
Is that
so
possible?
True. And it's wonderful to be a part of it. It is sometimes
Democracy.
exciting, and I'm always happy to be able to talk about it with you here on KSL at Night. But Mara, one of the topics that I really like to nerd out on, and perhaps you even more so, is what our Utah legislature, a Republican-dominated generally conservative legislature, painting with very broad strokes here, but our Utah legislature cares a lot about water.
They do.
And specifically, water conservation. Mara, you are the expert. You are plugged in, have your feet in the water community, if you will. What is happening on the Hill that we need to know about?
We do spend a lot of time on water policy, and without a doubt, the last 2 or 3 years, it has risen from a boring engineering problem to one of the hottest topics. You're right. We have some new converts here. I don't know that 10 years ago we would have been having such an aggressive.
What has changed?
The 1,200-year epic drought.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know that we can overstate how close we were to some northern communities not having water. Now, we have done such good planning. That is not a fear-based statement. But to put it way too simply, parts of northern Utah during our drought season 2 years ago had to pay from other conservancies, some other districts, some other reservoirs, if you will, to ship kind of stopgap water to make sure. Now, as those of our friends who live in Weber and Davis can tell you, they sure weren't watering their lawns. We were asked in Salt Lake County to also cut back. Washington County, if you want to look for someone who is both culturally incredibly conservative, traditional Utahns, they are leaning really into conservation. Now, the short answer is, yeah, we don't have any more. Now, we do. We've planned. We are such good planners. And thank you to those men and women before us who taught us how to plan well. But we're now at this tipping point where we're estimating that our population will double by 2060. And our resources are pretty the same. So how do we have more of our kids and grandkids stay here? And how do we make water stretch further? Well, the answer to that question is conservation, right? The other thing is we are the second most arid state in the nation. A lot of us live on the Wasatch Front. And I'll tell you, Taylor, the Wasatch Front doesn't feel arid, right? It's beautiful.
No,
it's
not
green.
at all.
But we are sort of statistically the second most arid state. So the short answer is we all have to get serious about understanding we just don't have any undibsed. That's a super technical term.
Okay.
All the water is taken, if you will.
Yeah.
Now it's paper water. We do have enough, but we have to figure out to take what we have, maybe try and get clever about new water. We've got to get clever about storage. How we survived the drought 2 years ago was that we put a drinking straw in these large reservoirs, namely those that we water ski on, right?
Yes.
I mean, Jordanelle is a reservoir, Strawberry. These are all water storage areas, Willard Bay. And
so they're not primarily for wake surfing, is what you're saying.
It makes no sense, but no.
Okay.
And so conservation will and has been the leading charge of what you're totally right, a conservative, but it's out of necessity.
Yeah.
So I would say, traditionally progressives have probably wanted to conserve with a larger eye to the climate. Conservatives are coming to the table saying, I want my kids and grandkids to live here, which means I've got to be smarter about how I use water.
Yeah.
So conservation's a big deal. What you see there is secondary water meters. I'm talking to those of you in northern Utah. We're starting to meter and regulate those. We're asking for more ditch companies to line, just basic good stuff. Everything we do in this area matters. We're looking at another round of turf removal for cities and municipalities and counties to hand out some money for those of us who might be thinking about switching some of our Kentucky bluegrass to land-wise waterscapes. Those bills are back, asking for more money. Doug Owens, who is a representative from Salt Lake County, has been championing those issues for a while, as has Speaker Mike Schultz. And then we get to some new interesting topics this year on water, one of which is really bold. It's in committee now. It's in the midst of a mashup. I'm going to keep plugging le.utah.gov.
Yes.
You and I talk about this because we are nerds, but we want others to come in. le.utah.gov is the legislative website. But it's actually great. You can do a keyword search. If you're just curious about, are they meddling too much or too little, you can search by bill number. You can search by who's the carrier of the bill. You can search by topics. It'll go back as far as you want. If you go on to le.utah.gov and just put in water, you'll be inundated. But one of the boring but interesting but important things is Casey Snyder, representative from the tippy top of from Cache, and he's talking about restructuring. I'm oversimplifying, but restructuring how cities and towns and counties and conservancy districts and ditch companies, irrigation companies come and ask the state to help them with their water projects. So we know conservatively between now and 2060, Taylor, we're going to need $38 billion. $38 billion.
With a B.
Two things, repair and replace, already what's in the ground. So this is a lot of the city's challenge right now.
Okay.
We've got pipes. Pioneers laid them. Maybe we want to freshen them up.
Okay.
And then also new water projects.
We're losing water, is what you're saying.
Well, no, the pipes are just old.
Okay.
They need to be fixed. A dam needs to be upkept. So repairing and replacing what we already have in infrastructure.
Okay.
That's just maintaining what we have. And then we've got to talk about, do we build anything new while we conserve and do a better job making it go further? Those two price tags add up to $38 billion. And Representative Casey Snyder is saying, he's sort of taking a page out of transportation's book. Water and transportation have a lot of differences, so I'm often not a lover of this comparison.
Sure.
But I'll use it. If you go, this process, UDOT has a pecking order, and you sift through, you put in your project, it has criteria and a governing board. Representative Snyder is saying we need to organize water projects this way.
Interesting.
So that's something to watch if you're interested in water policy. The other thing that we cannot leave this segment without talking about is the Great Salt Lake.
Yes, the Great Salt Lake. I've seen these hats float around the legislature, Mara, primarily among Democrats, believe it or not. The red hats, and they say, make the Great Salt Lake great again.
There you go.
It's a lot of fun. Everybody's getting in on the party when it comes to the Great Salt Lake, Mara. The legislature has taken some serious steps when it comes to saving the Great Salt Lake. Some environmental groups have filed a suit saying they're not doing quite enough.
Really big deal.
We'll see how that plays out. But Mara, what are you watching when it comes to the Great Salt Lake this session?
We have a Great Salt Lake commissioner. He
Brian Steed
was put in place last year. He just came out with recommendations. If you Google Great Salt Lake commissioner or their papers,
it's the Lake Czar. I've called him the Lake Czar.
He is the czar.
That name is sticking, and I'm proud of it. I'm going to claim it.
Good. Well, he just came out with some recommendations. Here's the tricky part about the lakes. I'm going to say the unsaid thing. We need a very important entity's help, and her name is Mother Nature.
Yes.
So we can do a lot. I feel optimistic, as Governor Cox would say, I feel optimistic about the Great Salt Lake. It takes all hands on deck. We've also got, a population doubling. We have repair and replace. So we're going to have to walk and chew gum on water policy. I feel optimistic about the Great Salt Lake, but we are going to need a little help from Mother Nature. So I'm going to end the water segment by saying, hey, listen, once again, we're up above 100% so far, knock on wood, that our precipitation level so far has been pretty good.
Yeah, we need all the moisture, Mara.
No.
It's a great Utah word.
Nobody wants to hear the word.
We need all of it we can get, so everybody pray for snow, and hopefully we can all ski on it too. Mara, well, stay right here, listeners. We're going to stick with covering what's happening at the Utah legislature by getting into some bills that would deal with quote-unquote sensitive materials in schools. Stay right here. That's after the break.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Dave and Debbie.
I want our listeners to feel like they have an advocate, that they have somebody that's going to fight for them, challenge the status quo or the pithy soundbite. We have a unique job where we have access to interviews and people that not everyone has. We take that seriously. So if we do feel like we're getting a spin, then we can challenge it. I love it when people tell me, I was just thinking about that question that you asked. I'm glad you asked that question. That's like the height of compliment.
I want our listeners to feel empowered to use the information that they've learned on the Dave and Dujanovic show to help their families, to help make good decisions, help investigate other avenues to maybe protect their family's safety or protect their family's money. I'm hopeful our show leaves our listeners with a sense of empowerment so they can make the best decision possible for themselves and for their families.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News.
We're committed to letting you know exactly what's going on. On our show, we're going to bring you up to speed on what's happening in the world to this moment. At the same time, the news can be really burdensome. It can leave you feeling a little bit depressed and even a little bit more depressed. My Minute of News is just a moment to lift you up.
I'm blessed that KSL has given me the freedom to talk about whatever I want. Literally, it is my minute of news. Sometimes it's pegged to what's happening that very day. Sometimes it might be something bizarre that you didn't know happening somewhere else in the world. To make you smile for a moment, even on a difficult day, and make you realize the world is still spinning. I am so honored that so many people have appreciated and enjoy the Minute of News every afternoon.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
It is 7:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Mark Jackson. KSL's top story, an update on quite the day in Centerville after police arrest a man who barricaded himself inside a stolen mail truck. KSL News Radio's Amy Kobe reports this all started just after 1 in Salt Lake City, where that suspect carjacked the mail truck, then was involved in a hit-and-run crash in Davis County on 2600 South.
Nearly killed a couple of people in a parking lot and eventually drove down a dead-end street in Centerville. Chief Paul Child says that driver then started ramming into cars, including several police cars. After an hour, the man eventually surrendered to police. Chief Child says they have multiple victims, one officer with a bite wound.
Amy reports officers used less lethal means to eventually get the man to surrender about 2:15. Top national story, the great border debate continues on Capitol Hill and on the presidential campaign trail tonight. Republican presidential primary candidate Nikki Haley at a South Carolina rally.
Put 25,000 Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them do their job. Let's go back to the Remain in Mexico policy so that no one even steps foot on U.S. soil. And instead of catch and release, we'll go to catch and deport.
In Arizona, Fox News reports authorities in border counties there have a blunt message for Congress to reject an immigration bill they believe does not go far enough to crack down on illegal immigration into the U.S. And Bob Beckwith has passed. The former New York firefighter stood shoulder to shoulder with President George W. Bush at Ground Zero and is forever immortalized in that photo, famous photo, snapped days after the September 11 attacks. He was 91 years old. Coming up, a bit of a wild one out there, at least in Parley's Canyon, where I'm seeing the snow plows. We'll put your full traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time 7:32.
Maybe Washington didn't ski. Maybe Lincoln didn't shred. Okay, could be, but I know they'd have no objections to you taking a run in their honor. So get ready. President's Weekend at Bear Lake is simply the best of Utah and the best place to celebrate our president's big days. You'll uncover 3 of the most beautiful cross-country and snowshoeing trails in Utah. Or jump into a snowmobile and catch some awesome trails and over 350 miles of backcountry snowmobiling. No matter how you like your winter sports, Bear Lake is ready, and President's Weekend is the perfect time to celebrate. So pack up the family and play your way. And when you choose President's Day to play in the snow, you'll find family-friendly getaway and lodging deals, too. Start at bearlake.org and learn more about President's Day at Bear Lake. bearlake.org. Lodging, activities, family events, even ice fishing. It's winter at its best, all at Bear Lake. Visit bearlake.org for details. bearlake.org.
The new year is the perfect time to make some positive changes for your body and your health. If you've been enjoying a little too much food, too many sweets, and too much liquid cheer over the holidays, then you've probably put a lot of stress on your liver. A great way to show your liver some love and to detox your system is simply adding Active Liver to your daily routine. Active Liver is one of many award-winning natural health products from New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Scandinavia. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Active Liver is an easy and effective way to keep your liver healthy and functioning properly all year long. You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. You can find Active Liver at Amazon.com, or for a volume discount, visit NewNordicUSA.com. Go to NordicUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New year, new you, New Nordic.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
So we get you updated on traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to $20 since with Dino Pay. Well, the snowplows are rolling through Parley's Canyon tonight. Only a few minutes ago, according to UDOT jam cams right here, heading into Park City. Speaking of Park City, it's a mess no matter where you go. US 189. US 40 through Deer Mountain, Jordanelle State Park on US 40. Kearns Boulevard, Main Street, messed up with traffic and weather both tonight. Alpine Home Medical carries the highest quality home medical equipment. Lift chairs, walkers, rollators, bedroom, bathroom safety products, CPAP, and more with 11 locations. Newest location in Tooele or alpinehomemedical.com. Valley weather is mainly the cause of all that mess over in Park City, Summit County, but Valley weather locally is not too bad. We're just coming off a bit of an afternoon full of rain. It is starting to taper off. It'll be off and on through about 10 o'clock tonight. More of it starts up tomorrow, warm before that next storm on Tuesday, 54 for the high. 43 now in rain showers downtown at 7:35. I'm Mark Jackson on KSL News Radio 102.7 FM, 1160 AM and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
You're listening to an encore presentation of KSL at Night. Eye on the Hill 2024. Special coverage on KSL at Night.
Welcome back to KSL at Night. I'm Mara Carabello here with Taylor Morgan, and we are going to stay with the legislative session, and that is because Utahns, we have one of the shortest legislative sessions in the nation. It goes 45 straight days starting in the middle of January. This year, it ends March 1st.
Yes.
And so we're about a month out of it ending. And we pack in. Now, we balance our budget. As we've all heard, we're one of the best managed states in the nation.
We're the best managed state, Mara.
Sorry.
Give us full credit, please. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we are going to stay focused on the legislation because these are the things that affect us every day.
Yes.
We want to move to education. Another kind of a zinger, I think.
We're calling this education.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I was being generous before I started to.
Well, listen, during these 45 days, one is safe. Nothing is safe, specifically tax dollars, constitutional rights, voting processes, and books, Mara. Books
Taylor,
are under attack.
This segment, I'm going to hold you accountable for the ideology and the actions of all Republicans. So just prepare. Buckle up.
That's totally fair. Sure. Why not?
That sounds right. So we wanted to talk about House Bill 29, which is sponsored by Ken Ivory. This is a re-round from a very big bill last year, which is the issue of banning sensitive material or book banning. And
sensitive books, Mara.
Sensitive books.
Mostly blatantly sexual or pornographic books is the contention of the sponsor.
There's quotations there so that we start to define. So the goal of HB 29, which just passed the State House, a vote of 51 to 16, I will note 2 Republicans were in the dissent.
Not a party line vote.
Yeah.
We won't name them because we don't want them to get in trouble, Mara, on the show.
Well, I think they voted because they were conservative, is my guess. But the notion was this is cleaning it up a little bit. The school districts said to the legislature, you were pretty broad last year when you told us to ban books. Also, every district got to choose its own process. There was some controversy, as many would remember, about what was allowed to be banned and what was not allowed to be banned. So this bill was intended to add specificity to the process of reviewing. It also does something really interesting. If 3 districts, or I want to say 5 charter schools, removes a book, it would be considered subject to removal statewide. Okay, so let's take this apart a little. I'm going to tell you where I'm frustrated with this. Well, one, I'm frustrated with conservative Utah putting more government regulations in place.
Stop it, Mara. Listen,
this is the land of big government at this
You're
point.
trotting out this tired local control argument.
I am. I'm going to trot it around.
Listen, if you just did what we wanted you to, then we would not have to control you.
Yeah, I know. Well-behaved women.
Just get in line. Women. Get in line, and we'll leave you alone.
I do think this usurps local control. This tells me if 3 districts have sensitive materials that they want, then my district has to accept that. I don't like the book banning in general, but I could live with a process that said my local district could decide. Now, one of the things I want to defend here, I'm going to defend teachers whenever I get the chance. Teachers are not babysitters. Teachers are trained professionals. So when you say, I don't want teachers deciding things, I do. That's their job. Just like I want my accounting helping make good decisions, just like I want, professionals in any industry. I want their area expertise in helping make good choices.
Yes. Yeah.
Teachers are area experts. They're trained people. They have skills, they have knowledge, they have trust. Do they make mistakes? Of course they do. But that's where parental involvement. I'm going to quote the basis who said the argument the best. Carol Speckman Moss, who is a teacher for a living, but she's also a longstanding representative.
Yes.
She said, quote, parents can and should be the ones to monitor their kids' reading, not the government. What's interesting is she wasn't objecting to all of us. She was just objecting to this lack of local control. But this also allows, in my mind, a loud minority to make a decision.
That's right. Yeah.
And here's my example. Last year, Granite School District had 96 books petitioned to be removed. 96 books. Those objections came from 6 people. 6 people.
Yeah.
6 people. And it took estimated Granite took 100 hours to review that material.
Yeah.
How much did it cost? For those of you, Granite School District, how much did that review of 96 books from 6 people cost you?
Yeah.
$100,000.
It's a real problem.
$100,000 to review these 96 books.
Yeah, I think that we lose common sense often, and sometimes we legislate to respond to a very specific, unique scenario that is not common enough to require legislation. But here's the issue, Mara.
Yeah.
Here's the issue. I don't have a good argument. I'm sorry.
No,
I just don't understand.
The passion people bring to keeping their kids safe and healthy.
Yeah.
Nobody disagrees with.
Right.
How afraid we all are of the immense exposure. Now, again, there's some irony that we think books are where they're seeing the horrible things when it's on social media.
Yes.
But, old school, a little, at least your kid's reading. So I understand the fear. I understand the need to protect.
Yeah.
But I do not understand a conservative group saying, where the answer lies? The answer lies in larger government programming.
Do you think, Mara, and I'm totally speculating here, I'm not referring to to a documented incident, but
okay,
my sense is that there is a fear among many conservative lawmakers that there are some teachers out there throughout the state that are advocates for sensitive materials. Now, I'm not talking, they're not showing their kids pornography. They're not, not these blatantly inappropriate
those
materials.
Don't exist.
Right, I agree.
They're bad guys, but
I agree.
Yeah.
But there is a real fear among many conservative lawmakers that teachers are intentionally trying to provide edgy or perceived
lifestyle
liberal
choices
lifestyle
that
choices.
Fit.
They're promoting maybe whether it's social issues or more liberal perspectives on controversial topics. There is this fear among lawmakers that there are teachers out there that are pushing these materials.
Right, and that they're having undue influence on their parent or their kids, and I think that's the heart of it. And I hear that, but knowledge is always good.
Yeah.
And what I